Hello. So now we're already in September. Today is September the 2nd as I record this. And once again, I'm in that sort of position. It's like, this is an interesting challenge. Are we able to generate enough funds to put food on the table for myself and the cats again this week? Of course, there's this unholy trinity inside us, which consists of doubt, worry, and fear, and also comes accompanied with that sort of anxiety feeling. So that's where we go inward and have a conversation with ourselves and sort of address things. And it's like, look, just stick with the vision of what you see. That Friday you're coming back with sufficient supplies, but also balanced with the sort of reality that the gas bottle that I use is not going to last forever, which is a challenge in itself because of the weight of it and how do I transport it from the nearest supplier to this location. So what I'm really asking for is maybe you felt this shift in energy, and it could be easy to go into the pity party, but it's like that's where you go inside and you have that conversation with yourself and like, no, we're not going down that pity party route. But the tarot cards, based on the feedback I've had for the readings I've done already, do make a difference, and it could really help you, not least if you have felt a sort of energy shift that seems to be a little bit negative. I know I said I was going to talk about a couple of things in this video. Imagination creates reality, and how human energy actually is the energy resource that brings things into manifestation in the external. So of course that's why we don't go into this worry and fear and doubt state, because we're emitting energy, a frequency that will actually draw that. So armed with that knowledge and from previous experiences of doing that, which I think we've all done, it's like, no, we're face this head on. But I invite you to take up these tarot card readings, and it does make a big difference. I don't do tarot card readings for myself. I just go with intuitive feeling on things. Incidentally, while I think of it, I awoke this morning from a dream where it would seem to be the middle of London, and there was, I don't know if I was on some sort of tour bus or something, and there was this older lady. I was saying, no, don't get off the bus here, because you really don't want to be walking around this area. But what she was looking for was the dark station. Now, I don't know if there is a London railway station. Maybe it's the underground that is sort of known as the dark station. Maybe it is the situation of a building where it's always in shadow. But I thought that was interesting in the dream. But of course that could be a metaphor of don't go into the darkness of doubt, worry and fear that is just being sort of reminded to myself. But I won't deny that it does come with a very sort of worrying and anxious feeling. But the way things are going, I see this as just purely a test of, can you find that inner strength within oneself, which is like a polar opposite to what the external reality is suggesting and the trajectory, the way things are going. Because there's been several times I've felt like saying, oh, let's chuck the towel in and go back in the system, as it were. But that's not really an option, and deep down I certainly wouldn't be happy if I did that. it would probably be a lot worse. There are no shortcuts with any of these things, but I feel that it is just it's a series of overcoming perceived challenges that we can all face. So as much as anything else, the videos and the tarot cards are in place to help lift that vibration, and really the more that take up this offer of the tarot cards, it will begin to lift the vibration on a small collective, shall we say, but it will make a big difference. So I suppose you could say it's a prediction. It's just based on feeling from past experiences of, oh shit, what are we going to do? Because I am very limited to the options I have on getting anywhere. As for trying to gain employment part-time in anything, that's really problematic. But like everything else, it's like vision the outcome you wish for, and then give the rest to the universe to sort out all the little details of it. And don't worry that where it comes, just know that it will come, as long as you hold true to that vision. So once again, it's almost like a weekly thing that I'm being put through test after test after test, and it's like, well, when is this going to end? Maybe there's a rich benefactor out there that can change everything, but that would then, of course, be relying on the external. That's not going to be coming from within. But the feelings are all generated within, so it's what are you transmitting across? What are you thinking? So it's very much about acknowledge the sort of shadow side of us that is always in this state of fear and worry and doesn't like change because it wants certainty. And, of course, the future is not certain. But it can be certain if we are certain inside ourselves. So I hope that has uplifted you and maybe whet your appetite to have a tarot card reading, because I'll be totally honest, I can't stress this enough. This is my only source of income, and outside of that it is asking for donations, and I don't feel comfortable with that. I'd rather be giving something back as a reciprocal exchange. The links are in the description. It's not going to cost you a fortune, and I feel you will get far more value out of these tarot card readings. And the beauty of it is, the less I know about your situation, the better, because I'm then flying blind, as it were, and just what comes through in the cards, rather than any preconceived ideas from any information I may know about you. But that's up to you to put it to the test. Just on a final note, there are many, many small YouTube channels, and obviously if the channels, their primary subject matter is about lifting the vibration, but that's sort of going against the grain. That is facing a sort of external shadow, which is why channels like my own channel and many other channels that I subscribe to seem to remain small, because it is showing an alternative to things that goes against the narrative for the collective. So that in itself is a fun challenge to, okay, what am I going to be faced with, and can I overcome it? I go with the idea of, okay, I accept the challenge and let's see what we can do with this. Just recently I discovered I had a hernia. Well, that is now completely gone, and that is all purely by adjustment of how much physical activity I do, listening to the body when it needs rest, and also holding that feeling just from asking myself a question: how would I feel if I no longer had the hernia? Because what you're transmitting across inside yourself between the conscious and the subconscious is going to affect the chemical makeup of every cell in your body. that saying about we are our own worst enemy comes to mind, because if we are filling our subconscious from the conscious mind with the negative things, then that's going to create negative states in the physical body. And of course, then we're on a low vibrational frequency that we then emit, which will then attract the very things we don't want towards us. A prime example of this would be if you apply for a job and then you're filled with concerns and worries. What if I don't get the job? What if I don't get the job? What am I going to do? And all this type of thing. It may be that you do get some sort of acknowledgement that says you've been unsuccessful. Oh, why is this? It's done this sort of funny magnifying thing again. But I can think readily of a Neville Goddard's testimony that he was given, where this person went for a job, they didn't get the job, but they still held true and overwrote what they were hearing. That saying, I don't believe what I'm hearing, is very true in this context, because you overwrite what you're hearing because it doesn't fit the vision that you have created. So it's stay true to the vision that you have created. So in this particular instance, there was, I think, a phone call that said along the lines of the first person that had been offered the job had declined it, and this person was then next on the list. So they did get the job, despite initially being told that they hadn't got the job. And it is all from holding true to that vision. So as much as anything else, 70% of what we hear is, of what we say is for ourselves to hear. So this video, as much as anything else, is a reminder to oneself of stay true to the vision, rather than going into that negative default state. And I know that this works. It's been more than, well, about 2.5 years I've been putting this into practice. It doesn't get any, well, it does get easier, because the concerns, or the intensity of the concerns, do seem to diminish. And I'm certainly not in a sort of panic-stricken state. There's no need to be. That would be a total waste of energy. So I'm still holding true to the vision, and I go with the, I suppose you could say, the philosophy of we'll build that bridge when we come to it. Think of it like a pioneering railway line. It's like, well, there's no point building a bridge or a tunnel unless you're going to use it. You may be able to find a different route where you don't need to build that bridge, or you'll be presented with a landscape, i.e. anything that's external to you, that is a far smoother course that you can take. So I'm sort of drawing on that as well. So hopefully that has uplifted and inspired you, and maybe even whet your appetite to have a tarot card reading, a personal one-to-one reading, not a collective zodiac sign reading. So it will be a lot more specific to you in the now moment. So as always, unconditional love to you all.